Depending on who you ask, the 2024 WWE Draft was a major failure for the WWE, with not many superstars changing brands, but NXT proved to be quite a shining light in the 2024 WWE Draft, and there was actually quite a few surprising moves within the rosters as well, but the overall feeling was one of underwhelming and one that could have been improved. But let's dive deeper into this 2024 WWE Draft and see what can be improved for future times. I feel like one of the main issues of the WWE Draft being so underwhelming this year was the fact that all the champions across both brands were protected. So that's the World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest, the Women's World Champion Becky Lynch, the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes, Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, the US Champ Logan Paul, both sets of tag champs, A-Town Down Under, The Miz and R-Truth, but the Women's Tag Champs, the Kabuki Warriors, were not protected champions as they already appear on both brands. So they were eligible to be drafted, and yeah, I guess based off previous drafts I've watched in the past, there was always, some form of surprise where the champions could end up on either brand. I guess back then the issue they had was if they put the SmackDown Women's Champion, for example, on Raw, then they did this weird thing where the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions would have to exchange titles. Just look at Becky Lynch and Charlotte. I think it was in 2019, and that was quite a heated segment over on SmackDown. And I think that was sort of WWE sort of walked into that one by naming the championships after the respective brands. But if you go back to say the mid to late 2000s, that was some of the probably iconic WWE drafts. And you had the WWE Championship on SmackDown, then going back to Raw, and the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw, then going back to SmackDown. And the likes of Triple H would end up on SmackDown, and the likes of Batista, Kane, and CM Punk back in 2008 all ended up on Raw. So it was quite an interesting draft back then. I think WWE have definitely missed a trick by protecting the champions in this regard, as it's not giving us enough interesting matches, or matchups I should say. The fact that Cody Rhodes is only on SmackDown will give us a lot more interesting matches on that brand. He's already facing AJ Styles for the championship at Backlash this coming weekend. But I feel like not switching, say, maybe the mid-card titles, the IC title and the US title, maybe was a little bit of a mistake. And I really do think some superstars would have benefited from a brand change in the likes of Logan Paul and Sami Zayn. I think that they've been on their respective brands for too long now, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think going forward, I don't think they should protect the champions for WWE drafts anymore moving forward. So another reason for the WWE drafts of previous years being so good was that they were always had some form of unpredictability about them. You never knew who was going to end up where, and the whole announcing the draft picks on a platform stage like they're currently doing, where they get a Hall of Famer or the GMs to announce the picks right now, is just a bit silly. I don't like that at all. I like the old computer system they used back in the mid to late 2000s. A, because it sounded awesome, but B, because it always gave you a really good draft pick. I can remember John Cena in 2011, I believe it was, where he was drafted to SmackDown at the opening of the night, and then he was drafted back to Raw at the end of the night, in quite an ironic twist of draft nights on that specific episode of SmackDown. But that whole clip, which I'll show here, just really shows you how different it was back then. And I really hope they'd been off the stupid getting I don't really have an issue with the Hall of Famers announcing the draft picks, but I don't feel like they need to be announced on the stage. I think it just ruins the WWE draft, and I get that's how they originally did it back in the day, by announcing them off the stage, but I'm more a fan of that computerized system from the mid to late 2000s. Across both nights of the WWE Draft, there was one major shining light, and that was the NXT Call-ups that came onto both Raw and SmackDown. And the highlights were probably Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov, the Mad Dragon, both being called up from NXT to now Raw and SmackDown. And these are both former NXT champions. They were heavily over with the NXT crowd, and it also made a handful of appearances on Raw and SmackDown over the last year. So that was nice to see Hayes and Dragunov get called up, but also the likes of Blair Davenport, Lyra Valkyria, Dijak, Kiana James was also picked there from NXT as well. And also Baron Corbin recalled up after a few years in NXT playing his trade with Bron Breakker. They were tag champions down in NXT, and now both have been called up to the main rosters for good. So it'll give a lot more people down in NXT the chance to shine. But also I'm very interested to see how these NXT call-ups now do on the main roster. Hopefully Triple H books them well and we get to see them quite frequently on WWE television. Overall, I think night 2 of the draft on Raw was definitely a lot better than the original night on SmackDown, and I think the Raw probably got the better end of the deal. The men's roster on Raw is definitely more stronger than it is on SmackDown, but on the flip side, the women's division over on SmackDown is a lot more stronger than the Raw women's division. So there is a bit of balance going on there. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out over the next coming months as well. Obviously, Raw's got more of the roster because they are a 3-hour show, whereas SmackDown is only a 2-hour show. And it was nice to see the likes of Braun Strowman returning from a very long-term injury, I believe it was. He's now back on WWE TV, so it'll be interesting to see how he is used on Raw moving forward. Maybe he gets thrusted into the World Heavyweight title picture. It'll be interesting to see how that works. And also, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk's ongoing feud is one to watch as well. It's quite entertaining, and both of them literally hate each other's guts on television. So they've done a good job of showing that across television. And I'm looking forward to the future of the WWE. But I just feel like this draft in particular was quite underwhelming, and I'm going to say it was a major failure. Because it just didn't live up to the expectations I had envisioned of it. I guess I'll have to wait and see what happens. But that has been the end of this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe so you never miss another video, and let me know what you think of the draft in general. Was it a failure, was it a success, or was it somewhere in the middle? I'll leave that to you guys, and I'll see you with another video very soon, and I'll catch you later.